Even if you are a financial genius with a certain field of knowledge, if you lack behavioral skills, it can be a financial nightmare. Being wealthy or having financial independence has a lot to do with how you act, not how brilliant you are or how hard you work. In this video, we'll discuss Morgan Houssel's book, The Psychology of Money. The finest about this book is that it makes the direct connection between psychology and personal finance, proving that human behavior plays a significant effect in one's financial success or failure. The first 18 chapters of the book explore various aspects of human psychology and thought as they relate to money. The lessons we learn from them we can either serve as cautionary tales or as inspiration to make positive change in our lives. Personal finance staples like savings, investing techniques, and decision making are well known, but the psychological aspects of these topics are rarely discussed. This book aims to change that. No one's crazy. People do some crazy things with money and we think that they are crazy. But no one is crazy. People from different generations raised by different parents who earn different incomes and held different value in different parts of the world, born into different economies, experiencing different job markets with different incentives. And different degrees of luck collect vastly different. And different degrees of luck collect vastly different information. Everyone has their own unique experience with how the world works, and how you have experience is more intriguing than what you learn secondhand. The person who grew up in poverty has a different perspective on risk and return. The person who grew up when inflation was highly experienced something the person who grew up where staple prices never had to your something the person who grew up with stable prices never had to your personal experiences. With money make up by 0.000%, with money make up by 0.0000 point A and 1% of historical events, yet perhaps 80% of your assumptions about how the world functions. The economist found that people's in lifetime the economist found that people's lifetime the economist found that people's lifetime investment decisions are heavily anchored to the experiences those investors had in their own generation, especially experiences early in their adult life. If you grew up when inflation up early in their experiences early in their adult life, if you grew up when inflation was high, you invested less of your money in bonds later in life compared to those who grew up when inflation was low. If you happened to grow up when the stock market was strong, you invested more of your money in stocks later in life compared to those who grew up when stocks were weak. Every outcome in life is guided by forces other than individual effort. And if you acknowledge that luck brought you success, then you have tamed your ego and may move on to the next level of success. Bill Gates attended Lakefront School, which was fortunate enough to have a computer thanks to instructor Bill Douglas. Thanks to instructor Bill Douglas' attempts to acquire a 3000 teletype computer. Without this opportunity, Bill Gates' career path may have been very different. In 1968, Gates, then 13 years old, met fellow student Paul Allen, who shared his interest in the school's computer. Because Lakeside's computer was part of an independent study program. Because Lakeside's computer was part of an independent study program, Bill and Paul were free to experiment with it whenever they pleased, including after school, on weekends, and well into the early morning hours. The high school that had enough money and foresight to buy a computer was only attended by 1 in a million high school age students. One of them was Bill Gates. By chance, the success of Microsoft made names like Bill Gates and Paul Allen well known. But back at Lakeside High School, there are another member of this gang of computer prodigies named Kent Evans. After becoming fast friends in 8th school, After becoming after becoming fast friends in 8th school, Kent Evans was poised to play a significant role in Bill Gates' entrepreneurial role in Kent Evans Kent Evans was poised by a significant role. Kent Evans was poised. Kent Evans was poised to play a significant role in Bill Gates' entrepreneurial entrepreneurial career. If things had gone differently, he might have even jo- if things had gone differently, he might have even joined Gates and Alan Greenspan as a founding partner of Microsoft. Before Kent even before Kent even finished high school, he was killing in a mountaineer. Before Kent was finished high school, he was killing in a mountaineering mission, one of roughly 3 dozen such tragedies that occur a year. 3 dozen such one of roughly three one of one of roughly one of roughly 3 dozen such tragedies that occur a year in the United States. Bill Gates said Bill Gates had 1 in a million luck by not being killed in a Bill Gates had 1 in a million luck by not being killed in on a Bill Gates had 1 in a million luck by not being killed on a mountain. Bill Gates had 1 in a million luck by not being killed on a mountain while in high school. With the same power and magnitude but in opposite directions, took one in a Kent Evans took a Kent Evans took a 1 in a million chance of never finishing what he and Gates started. Bill Gates acknowledges that there would have been no Microsoft if not for Lakeside. The late Vanguard pioneer John Bogle, who passed away in 2019, shared an anecdote about money at a party through by a wealthy that illustrates an issue with our approach to wealth that we rarely consider. When when Kurt Vonnegut told his friend, the author Joseph Heller, that their host, a hedge fund manager, had made more money in one day than Heller had earned from his wildly popular novel Catch 22 over its entire history, Heller replied, "Yes, but I have something of which he will never have enough: the ability to stop comparing oneself to others. To, the, to recover your joy, you must stop comparing yourself to others and instead focus on what is insufficient to you." As I write this, Warren Buffett is worth $84.5 billion. $84.2 billion of his fortune was amassed after he was 50 years old. Making compound interest the eighth wonder of the world, 18.5 billion came after he became eligible for social security. At the time he was in his mid 60s, Warren Buffett is a phenomenal investor, but he has been phenomenal for 3 quarters of a century. Had he begun investing in his 30s and retired in his 60s, few people would have heard of him. When it comes to investing, it's not only about getting lucky and making a lot of money in the short term. It's about being patient and letting your money grow compounding. Getting rich versus being wealthy, a combination of fragility and paranoia, is the only way to maintain financial success once it has been achieved. When it's common knowledge that Warren Buffett amassed his fortune through astute investments, few people can explain how he's managed to maintain his fortune through market downturns, economic slumps, and other trying times. It's common knowledge that Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger are two of the most successful investors alive today, but they weren't the only superstar duo in the financial world. 40 years ago, R.J. Garrett during the 1974 recession, Rick Guerin was a stockholder of Berkshire Hathaway alongside Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. Rich had taken out margin loans, and when the stock market dropped about 70% in just 2 years, he was forced to sell. He was forced to sell his shares of Berkshire to Warren, who later boasted that he had purchased the shares at under $40 apiece. As a result, Rick had to give up his sale. Simply because he was pushed too far, Charlie Warren and Rick were both talented at amazing wealth. But only Warren and Charlie mastered the art of oh, but only Warren and Charlie mastered the art of maintaining their fortunes. According to Nassim Taylor, it is best explained in the way being competitive and making it through are two different things. Both are necessary if you want to avoid financial catastrophe in the first place. It's easy to underestimate the rarity and power of tales because most of what we pay attention to is the result of a tale. Yet the most important part of every plan is to plan for the plan not being according for the plan not being the most important part of every plan is to plan for the plan not going according to the plan. The most important part of every plan is to plan the most important part of every plan is to plan for the plan not according to the plan. Tail to win. Someone like Bergeron might be incorrect most of the time and still wind up stupendously stupid most of the time and still wind up stupendously right. If say 1% of the works he brought 1% of the works he bought throughout his life turned out to be the work of someone like Picasso. If you are willing to be incorrect 50% of the time, you can still make a lot of money. Money's greatest intrinsic value, and this can't be overstated, is its ability to give you control over your time to obtain freedom. The highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, I can do whatever I want to do. I can do whatever I want today. The ability to do what you want when you want with who you want for as long as you want is priceless. It is the highest dividend money pays. Having even a little amount of cash allows you to take a few sick days without worrying about becoming broke. Having the ability to control your time Having the ability to control your time is the highest dividend you can get. If you don't have it, you'll have to take the first job. You'll have to take the first job you can find after being laid off, even it's less than deal. Saving 6 months worth of living expenses can help you avoid that situation. Cash compensates man in the automobile paradox. There is a paradox in the way people think. When they see a great car, they don't think, wow, that man driving that car is amazing, but rather, wow, if I had that car, people would think I'm cool. People will pass over you for admiration, not because they don't think wealth is admirable, but because they will use your financial success as a yardstick to measure their own success. Author continues by saying, my point here is not to abandon the pursuit of wealth or even fancy cars. I like both. Rather, it's a subtle recognition that people in general want to be respected and admired for others. And that using money to buy fancy things may bring less of it than you imagine. If respect and admiration are your goals, be careful how you seek them. Humility, kindness, and empathy will bring you more respect than horsepower ever will. The author says, as I got to know some of them, however, I realized that wasn't always the case. Many were mediocre successes who spent a huge percentage of their paycheck on a car. The author cites the example of a man named Roger who initially gave the impression that he was successful because he drove a Porsche but then drove an old Honda the following week. And the week after that, if you see someone driving a 100,000 car, you might assume they are wealthy, but all you know about them is that they are either 100,000 poor but they were before they bought the car, or 100,000 farther in debt. Unfortunately, we can't see people's bank accounts or stockbroker statements. so we rely on external looks to estimate their wealth. In today's society, the business dedicated to assisting the working class, fake it till they make it, is highly valued.